It's Friday, September 19th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. New tactics will be used in the search for the missing Sullivan children. Overpass versus truck. Why are so many wrecks happening on a Fredericton street?
The fall equinox is on Monday, but we get a preview of some early fall-like weather this weekend.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. We begin tonight with a development in the search for the missing Sullivan children. RCMP are bringing in specialized cadaver dogs to look for the pair who have been missing from their Pictou County home in Lansdowne Station since early May. CTV late anchor Bruce Frisco has been following today's developments. He joins us in the news center. Bruce, considerable pressure now on the police to offer any information on this case, hey?
Right you are, Todd. The force hosting a news conference this afternoon with widespread interest from right across the country. In fact, there are people, as you know, around the world who've been watching the case with keen interest, posting about it on social media. They're making YouTube videos. As you mentioned, 6-year-old Lily, 4-year-old Jack Sullivan reported missing May 2nd from their trailer home in Lansdowne Station, which is a very rural area. The search effort, especially in those early days, was extensive. Hundreds of volunteers and experts combed and then recombed kilometers around the family home. And you may recall police dogs were part of those searches. What's changed now is the introduction of cadaver dogs. Simply put, they are specially trained to pick up on the scent of decomposing human remains, and they're generally very successful at finding it, whether it's underground, in water, or even ashes. The success rate is quite remarkable.
In Nova Scotia, back in 2017, there was a research study conducted with the medical examiner's office and the RCMP. This is kind of the building blocks of the human remains detection program for the RCMP. And when they did their study, I believe it was published in 2017, and their status for the training exercises was a 94% success rate.
I think I'd be very confident if we can get our dogs in the right area, that our dogs, even if it's been a hot, dry summer, that should be fine for us.
One is, why now? What's changed? Well, police insist there's been no definitive evidence that Jack and Lily are in fact deceased, but they are obligated to explore that possibility. So that's why the dogs are being brought in now. And we should tell you, we're already seeing some reaction from family members. Paternal grandmother Belinda Gray quoted as saying she is thrilled that police are bringing in the specialized animals from out west, but adds it should have been done a few months ago. As to when they'll arrive, police will only say it is in the coming days. Todd.
All right, 819 tips, 80 interviews. We'll see if this provides any answers. Thank you, Bruce, in the news center. Of course, he has our late update at 11:30. The application is in, and opposition is already growing. Nova Scotia Power's rate hike proposal is now in the hands of the province's Energy Board. As CTV's Callum Smith reports, the government is intervening.
Acorn fights for low-income earners, and Fabian Donovan says they're at risk if Nova Scotia Power gets the green light to drive up rates.
Why don't CEOs maybe take a pay freeze for a couple of years and give the people a break? There's people that are living on $20,000 and less a year in this province and even in this neighborhood.
The proposal asks residential customers to pay 3.8% and 4.1% more over the next 2 years. But the utility says some industrial customers would see decreases, leaving the average jumps to 1.8% and 2.4% respectively.
Those numbers aren't unreasonable in an objective way. It doesn't make the increases any more affordable.
The utility says it needs to strengthen reliability and resilience in the face of extreme weather while also greening the grid. But it notes the need to balance affordability with its, quote, financial health. Roger Colton points to initiatives helping some low-income earners, including outreach for energy assistance and a pilot program waiving late fees. But he argues the province could legislate more supports.
Nova Scotia Power rates are going up faster than incomes. are going up.
Earlier this month, the Premier scolded the utility for seeking these hikes. Thursday, he announced the province will intervene in the regulatory process.
We're intervening in the process with the URB. That's the first step, and we'll see what that process brings.
What else might you do beyond that?
I don't want to speculate.
The provincial response isn't sitting well with the Ecology Action Centre.
Government should really sit down with Nova Scotia Power and stop pointing fingers at them or using them as a boogeyman to scare Nova Scotians or rile them up, and sit down and come up with a plan like how are we going to meet our sustainability goals and our reliability goals while being affordable.
Now, one thing we still don't know is when any decision will be made on this rate application. Nova Scotia Power had initially sought for the first increase to take effect by January 1st, 2026, but the Nova Scotia Energy Board says it's doubtful a decision would be rendered by that time. Todd.
All right, Callum in Halifax, thank you. There is a live look at downtown Fredericton. I believe that's City Hall in the background there. 19 degrees on a beautiful Friday evening. Dry in Fredericton. It's been dry in the region. We're going to talk about that specifically in a couple of minutes. But as we bring in Kaylin, Fredericton, another one of those beautiful temperatures again today.
Yeah, we did have that cold front come through today, Todd, but it didn't bring much more than some scattered showers to the region, and even where the showers did occur, the rain was very, very light. Now, Fredericton may be mild at the moment, sitting at 19 degrees, but the temperature there expected to cool down to around 4 overnight, so there is going to be some cooler air coming into the Maritimes for tonight in that northerly wind. In fact, temperatures are already beginning to cool down towards and below the mid-teens for northern areas of New Brunswick. There are still some parts of the region a little bit on the warmer side, including in southern areas of New Brunswick and the southwest. St. John sitting at 22 degrees and parts of the southwest of Nova Scotia. But it gets cool enough tonight that frost advisories have been issued for northern western areas of New Brunswick as some low temperatures, especially at lower elevations, will fall into a range around -1 to +4. Now, it's not just some chillier overnight temperatures you need to bring about a risk of frost. You need some other conditions as well, including a clearing sky, which is something we'll have as high pressure moves in from the west, and the wind getting lighter, and that's going to happen as well as we move through tonight. Still this evening, it's a little bit in the breezy, even blustery side for parts of the region. Clearing conditions, though, for tonight across the Maritime region, which does make it a good night for some night sky viewing. You're not going to be seeing much of the moon. Not only is it a waning crescent moon, only 5% illuminated, but won't be rising above the eastern horizon with the planet Venus until just before sunrise tomorrow morning. Planet Saturn, though, will be easy to spot over the southeastern horizon after the twilight hours. And there's a 5-minute pass from the International Space Station at 8:22 p.m. from the northwest to the northeast. Now, that is occurring during astronomical twilight, so there will still be some ambient light around, which could make it a little bit more difficult to spot. Todd.
All right, thanks, Kaylin. We'll see you a little later in the show. Now, we were talking about just how dry it's been. The summer drought is continuing into fall. September proving to be nearly as dry as the previous months, and that's bad for the water supply. We get an update now from CTV's Stephanie Seacos.
Fall may be right around the corner, but the impacts of the hot, dry summer are still being felt. Water levels are low, with no signs of improvement, something people are taking notice of.
It has been significantly dry, absolutely, and as I was mentioned to many people, we've got drier conditions because of climate change and what have you, and we're doing the best we can.
It's been about 10 days since Halifax Water brought in mandatory water conservation measures for those on the Lake Major supply, meaning no watering lawns, washing vehicles, filling pools, or watering golf courses.
We have seen and our customers actually following our restrictions, and we have seen about a 5% decrease in demand on the system since then.
At this point, it's considered a stage 1 conservation, but Halifax Water is looking at stage 2, though there's no timeline set for when measures could escalate.
Our teams are working at exactly what stage 2 would look like, and we're in conversations with our big commercial users, working with them to see if they can decrease any of their demand.
As the dry weather drags on, Halifax Regional Municipality says many residents with private wells are reporting shortages or completely dry systems. As a result, drinking water is available for pickup twice a week at several locations around the municipality for those impacted. Residents can also stop by 3 recreation facilities to shower. Those serviced by Pockwalk Lake remain on voluntary measures.
Conservation of water is really important right now because the lakes are low, and we just have to take that into consideration.
Halifax Regional Municipality has once again expanded its list of drinking water pickup locations. Prospect Road Community Center has now been added to that list. Residents can begin getting water here beginning Sunday. Stephanie Seco, CTV News, Hatchet Lake, Nova Scotia.
New Brunswick still hasn't signed a national Pharmacare deal with Ottawa, and that's prompted a group of activists to poke the province to get something done. Here's our Derek Haggett.
New Brunswick is one of 7 provinces that still hasn't signed a national Pharmacare deal with the federal government.
I think it would be really good for people and for society here in New Brunswick to have a drug plan that's national in scope.
Today, a group of diverse organizations signed an open letter to the provincial government urging it to negotiate a Pharmacare agreement as soon as possible.
There's 44 organizations that represent, I would say, above 50,000 people in New Brunswick that says, yes, we need to sign this deal.
The National Pharmacare Program was introduced by the federal government in 2024 with the goal of improving accessibility, affordability, and universal coverage of everyday medications. The first phase would provide universal single-payer access to a wide range of diabetes medications and contraception. British Columbia, Manitoba, Prince Edward Island, and Yukon have signed up, but New Brunswick still hasn't, something that defies explanation to the leader of the Green Party.
For the life of me, I can't understand it. This is about Canadians. New Brunswickers are Canadians, and we should benefit from the Canadian National Pharmacare system.
The owner of this Moncton pharmacy says for many, the cost of diabetic supplies and drugs are exceedingly expensive.
Things have gone up considerably. So when I was a young pharmacist 40 years ago, insulin was $8 a vial. It's like $85 a vial now for the same amount. And so people, I don't know how some of them can afford it without a drug plan.
The health minister says they've always been committed to signing a Pharmacare agreement, and the voices calling for progress on the issue are clear and compelling. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Moncton.
Nova Scotia has released its first child death review. The report examined all deaths of people under 25 years of age, not caused by natural factors, with the goal of identifying trends and preventable risks. CTV's Jesse Thomas has details.
The Chief Medical Officer of Health and the province's medical examiner believe a new report on child and youth deaths could help prevent future tragedies and build safer communities and environments.
My hope is that by doing this work together, we can help protect others and honor the lives of those we have lost.
This is the first child death review that examined 911 deaths of Nova Scotians under the age of 25 between 2009 and 2023. They included accidental, suicidal, and homicidal deaths, but left out those by natural causes.
We also saw clear disparities. Males accounted for 73% of accidental deaths, and the majority occurred among young people aged 20 to 24.
The review is meant to uncover patterns and themes. Officials say they were not surprised by the findings and said many of the deaths were preventable. Among the findings, accidental deaths counted for the largest section of deaths, with 56% being from motor vehicle collisions, to drug toxicity at 24%, to drownings at 8%, and fire and burns at 6%. But the knowledge of these deaths isn't good enough alone. Actions required.
The first step is really to ensure that all of our departments understand what the recommendations are, and then the work begins within each department and then across government and with our community partners.
The committee has outlined 11 recommendations, including stronger suicide and homicide prevention and more supports for addiction, along with water safety training and the tracking of the harms of extreme weather. The review provides a big picture and a starting point going forward. The child death review reports will be released annually to document, shape policy, and improve safety. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
If you have plans for one of the many events in Halifax this weekend, here's a tip. Make another plan to get there early. Our Jonathan McGuinness explains why.
The McDonald Bridge is closing for the final time this summer. Crews will be removing work platforms and scaffolding. The Brunswick Street on-ramp will also be completed. It's all happening, though, on what might be the busiest weekend of the summer. The Halifax Wanderers play on Saturday. The Mooseheads have their home opener later that night. There's a parade and a protest happening. And a family fun day is being held to mark the near completion of the Cogswell Street redevelopment project.
It's been a long 4 years, and our stakeholders and partners have been fabulous, and we really want to celebrate with the community.
Project manager Elora Wilkinson hopes people will be able to move about the downtown and take in as many events as they can, as long as they don't mind the traffic.
The bridge closure, as is construction, is part of, summertime in Halifax, and you just really have to plan ahead.
Whoa, 2 points. Oktoberfest celebrations are also taking place. It's the 17th year for an event that keeps getting bigger.
There's just a lot happening in Halifax, so it's bringing more people to the downtown area, more people to the waterfront, and it's just really great. The city is amazing this weekend.
It's expected the ferry will be busy. City officials confirmed to CTV that they'll be operating on their usual weekend schedule and that no extra crossings are planned.
It'd be great to, have people coming back to and from, Halifax and Dartmouth side at a quicker speed.
A spokesperson for Halifax Harbour Bridges says the work needs to be done, and because of the scheduling of specialized equipment and the frequency of hockey games and other events, there was no better weekend. The McDonald Bridge will close tonight at 8 p.m. and reopen Monday at 5:30 a.m. The McKay Bridge will remain open. And Todd, we should say that the bridge is closing to all traffic. That includes pedestrian and bicycle. And to help, free transit tickets can be picked up at the operations office, and those are available 24/7. Todd.
John, we've had you down there for the last hour or so now. What's traffic been like?
Well, we're sort of past the peak of rush hour, Todd, right now. Traffic seems to be pretty light, so if you're planning on getting across the McDonald Bridge before 8 p.m., now's the time to do it.
John McGuinness on the Dartmouth side of the McDonald, thank you very much. Well, you can't make this up. For the second time in as many days, a transport truck has wedged itself under a downtown Fredericton overpass. So how many times is too many? CTV's Laura Brown put that question to the city.
The morning commute delivered an unexpected stop for this transport truck in downtown Fredericton today. And yes, you are seeing double. Almost at the very same time Wednesday morning, a different 18-wheeler found itself in the same position. And while Fredericton residents tell us they see a stuck truck lodged under the city's old train bridge overpass every now and then, two in just a few days.
I can't believe it happened. I don't know why or where these trucks are going or where they think they're going. But in my mind, anybody with any sense will know that bridge is too low.
There is signage leading up to and on the bridge itself. No injuries have been reported. The only victims, the trucks themselves.
Anybody ever move a couch? You may see that the hallway is wide enough to fit the couch through, but it can't go through the 90-degree turn. So shorter trucks that are that height can make it through, but the longer trucks go in, bind, and come up and then hit the structure.
This bridge holds people now, but it was originally designed to hold trains, so the city says it's very, very strong, but you have to wonder, how many times is too many?
That's a really great question. We've looked at lots of different options over the years and different ideas. Eventually, that structure is going to see the end of its useful life, and something will have to be done to replace it, whether that's bringing something up higher, potentially lowering Waterloo Row for that segment.
This nearby resident says he's taken things into his own hands.
Waving my arms and stopping them, and they thank me for it.
Both drivers were issued fines under the Highway Act. Moncton's Main Street subway overpass has had its share of stuck trucks too. So has Halifax's McKay Bridge when toll booths were in operation. It seems there's nothing concrete that stops it from happening. Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
Thank you, Laura. All right, coming up, risk of patchy frost for New Brunswick tonight. Kaylin has the full maritime weekend weather. But next, a first-hand glimpse.
This fire was, going really good until that lightning storm hit. It was hard to stop.
It started in early August. Today, we'll show you just how destructive the wildfire near Miramichi was. That's after this break. The remaining evacuees of the Long Lake wildfire in Annapolis County, Nova Scotia, can go home tomorrow. They'll be able to re-enter showing valid ID at a checkpoint that begins at 9 in the morning. There will still be barricades in place, and the general public will not be allowed in the area. The wildfire still being held at 8,500 hectares. 20 homes were lost due to that wildfire. And earlier today, we were given access to see the destructive aftermath of the Miramichi wildfire. CTV's Josh Smith takes us there.
Blackened tree trunks, ash, and the faint smell of smoke. Evidence of the Old Field Road wildfire near Miramichi. It started on August 6th and grew into New Brunswick's largest fire in nearly 4 decades, burning over 1,400 hectares, or close to 3,500 acres.
This fire was, going really good until that lightning storm hit. It was hard to stop.
Almost a week later, that storm escalated the situation, with new fires starting on the ground.
It would be sitting quiet for a while, and you get 10 to 15 kilometer winds. Starts ahead, it'll burn in the brush, up the trees, and then it'll go into the trees all on the top.
It was just 2 weeks ago that the sky here was filled with thick black smoke. Firefighters faced extreme heat and fast-moving flames. Even under those tough conditions, no homes were damaged and no lives were lost. DNR says the fire could have started accidentally.
We don't know for sure how it started. We're pretty sure it was human caused.
Crews fought the fire for the better part of August, but eventually a turning point came that offered some relief.
I think, one day we got a little bit of rain. So one day we got 5 millimeters rain, and that doesn't seem like a whole lot, but in the end, it gave us a couple days to get a handle on the fire.
I tip my hat to these gentlemen here, whether they were in the offices, in the woods, or up in the air. They did a bang-up job.
Damage is still being assessed. The question now turns to the future: how New Brunswick can adapt and prevent the next Old Field Road wildfire.
Just be prepared. Every year, like we were kind of in a lull where we didn't have a whole lot of fires. But now I think this will just keep us more alert and prepared every year.
Josh Smith, CTV News, Miramichi, New Brunswick.
Well, no rain in the forecast, but an early sign of fall. It's going to feel a little cooler in the Maritimes. Kellen has the details. Your weekend weather coming up. That is Daffodil Park in Dartmouth, overlooking the Halifax waterfront, and that is a nice quiet space that was built for people who just want to take a little time out and reflect. I believe it's for cancer.
Yes. Yeah. I don't have much of a green thumb, but I think, is it the time of the year where you want to plant bulbs like daffodils right now so they come up in the spring, I think?
If only we had something like the garden guide.
or Google.
The garden guide on the 5 o'clock show. I'm sure Emily Trigano knows the answer to that. It escapes me.
I think we did it in a segment, actually, like 1 or 2 garden guides ago. I'm just having trouble pulling it out of the old memory banks here.
I wish I knew.
All right, let's take a look at weather conditions. We're going to actually begin with an update on Tropical Storm Gabrielle. And once again, not much has changed in the overall forecast for this weather system. It is expected to strengthen to a hurricane as it starts to move northward in the Atlantic, but then it takes that sharp recurve. So yes, it starts to move towards the north, but then curves off quite sharply off towards the east. So that's taking it up towards the North Atlantic. Looks like that turn is going to happen even outside of Bermuda, which of course keeps it well away from us here in the Maritimes and Atlantic Canada. Weather conditions across the country, looking at west right now, lots of temperatures at this hour in the high teens and low 20s. Off towards the east, we've got 18 degrees at Ottawa right now, 20 at Montreal. Here in the Maritimes, 19 at Fredericton, 17 at Halifax, 15 at Charlottetown, but it is going to be getting brisk tonight. St. John's currently sitting at 18 18 degrees. And getting brisk now that we're behind that front, so we'll see some clearing conditions as well. Winds getting lighter as we move towards and after midnight, though they do remain out of that northerly direction. In the forecast for Saturday across much of the Maritimes, it will be mostly sunny. A few fair weather clouds developing in northern areas of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and eastern areas of Nova Scotia in the afternoon. And a chance there could be a couple of showers that move off the Gulf of St. Lawrence for communities in Cape Breton, especially those communities in both Inverness and Victoria counties. Taking a look at winds in the forecast. There they are for Saturday out of the northwest. A little bit blustery around the eastern coastline of New Brunswick, PEI, and parts of the north and east of Nova Scotia. There, some of the peak wind gusts come up between 30 and 50 kilometers per hour. Much of the rest of the Maritimes gusts tomorrow between 20 and 40. Low temperatures tonight around the region, mostly around the mid to high single digits, though for parts of the north and west of New Brunswick, down between around -1 and +4. That's where we have those frost advisories in effect. Northern areas of New Brunswick for tomorrow. Temperatures 14 to 16 degrees, and central and southern areas of the province with high temperatures between 15 and 18. Prince Edward Island on Saturday with high temperatures around the low to mid-teens, just a touch below averages for this far into September. In Cape Breton tomorrow, the highs between 13 and 15 degrees and 15 to 16 degrees around eastern areas of Nova Scotia. Northern and central parts of the province with high temperatures around the mid-teens. And in the southwest of Nova Scotia, highs between 14 and 18. In the 7-day outlook for New Brunswick, it's sunshine through the weekend. Forecast fall equinox coming up on Monday. After that, there's a chance of showers on Tuesday and Wednesday, a mix of sun and cloud Thursday and Friday. Nova Scotia in the forecast, it is sunny through the upcoming weekend, a mix of sun and cloud on Monday and Tuesday of next week, a chance of showers on Wednesday, and then looking at more fair weather Thursday and Friday. And finally, for Prince Edward Island, sunshine through the weekend. Fall equinox coming up on Monday. Chance of showers Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday and Friday, mix of sun and cloud. See that, Todd? I just skipped right past the winter season, just right on into next spring there.
Wouldn't that be nice, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you at the end of the show for the Wake Up Weather. Next, CTV film critic Richard Krause has the weekend's new movies, and we have more entertainment.
Hello, I'm comedian James Mullinger, and I'm very excited to say that I'm going to be talking to the amazing Katie Kelly coming up on the show, all about my new Halifax tour date, 17th of April at the Rebecca Cohen Theatre, where I'm filming my brand new stand-up special. Come and see me and Katie chatting shortly. Stay tuned.
On this Friday evening, we look at what's new in cinema. CTV film critic Richard Krause joins us. Good to see you, Richard.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. We're going to jump right into this because we got a lot tonight, okay? The first pick is getting all kinds of promotion, a football thriller. Never said that before. Here's a look at Him.
Do I look at you or the camera?
You'll just look right at me. You'll just ignore the camera.
Okay.
There are a lot of people saying you could be the next great quarterback. I can already see it now.
Well, visually, this thing is extremely intense, but does the story hold up?
Well, that's the rub right here. So visually, this is beautiful. It looks like an hour-and-a-half long video game. Every shot is perfectly composed. The editing is top-notch. The needle drops, the music, all that stuff works pretty well. In this story about a college quarterback who is about to go to the NBA when he is attacked, has a brain injury, and then he is rehabilitated by a legendary quarterback played by Marlon Wayans, who says, I can get you back in fighting shape. Come to my compound and we'll get your career back on track. Of course, then it turns out to be more of a cult than anything else. And there's more to it than that. But what should have been a story about the commodification of athletes, the exploitation of athletes, the price they pay, both physically and mentally, to have these high-flying careers, instead is absolutely overwhelmed by the film style. It leads up to a bonkers final 10 minutes or so of the movie. But even when you get to that point, it's kind of like, I'm not exactly sure what came before all of this that made this necessary. So it's like a 2.5-star out of 5-star movie for me.
Okay. Maybe this one will do a little better. Matthew McConaughey, his latest vehicle, based on a true story, The Lost Bus. Here we are.
It's another dry and windy day in paradise. Thanks to all drivers. There's a situation developing at Ponderosa Elementary. There are 23 kids who are stranded.
This looks like Speed with a forest fire.
Well, it is a little bit like that. You have Matthew McConaughey, down on his luck kind of guy, living in small town California. He drives a school bus, but he's barely making ends meet. But he gets a chance to make himself a hero when a single spark from a downed power line starts what eventually ended up being called the California Camp Fire 2018, one of California's deadliest wildfires. And he is charged with taking 23 kids on his bus and taking them to a drop-off point so they can be taken home by their parents. But this fire spreads so quickly that he ends up essentially in the middle of it. And he's driving an 18,000-pound oven, essentially. Unless he gets out and away from that fire, it's not going to work out well for him or the kids. And what you get a sense from in this movie is how quickly these wildfires can spread. The images are terrifying. This is a horror movie in that sense, and the villain, the monster, are the flames. It is absolutely intense, it's immersive, and it's quite something. Less compelling are the characters. Matthew McConaughey, good actor. America Ferrera, good actor, but they just don't bring enough here to give the real human component that you need to make this work. But as far as seeing how wildfires work, this is as graphic and vivid as I've ever seen.
Okay. This next one, much slower pace. It looks really interesting. This was a TIFF entry, I believe, wasn't it? The one we're going to look at here? The history of sound,
so.
eh?
Yeah.
Okay, so the history of sound, let's take a look at it.
Across the Rocky Mountain, I walk for miles and miles. Lionel Worthing. David White.
Okay, tell us about this one. Interesting.
So this is a historical romance. It stars Paul Mescal and Josh O'Connor, two very good actors. They play two guys who meet in college, and they start a romance based on their shared love of music. Then World War I happens. One of them gets called away. When he comes back, he gets in touch and says, you know what? The music that we grew up with is disappearing. These folk songs that are part of the oral tradition. We have to go out to various parts of America, mostly on the East Coast, and record them, and so that they will be saved for posterity. And so that's most of the story. I won't tell you anymore because I don't want to give you any spoilers here. But this is a movie that very much walks at its own pace. It's a very slow movie, but each and every frame of it is imbued with the yearning and longing that these two feel for one another. So an intensely romantic film, but one that is a bit leisurely. It might not be for everyone.
All right. We're going to squeeze this one in real quick. It's based on an app. This is Swiped. Here we go.
Maybe I should stop being shocked by success after the past few months we've had.
It's pretty all-consuming. You know, we're together all the time. It's a big family. You know, families can get messy, right?
Okay, this is watching a movie about watching your phones, right?
Yep. It's the story of Whitney Wolfe, who was the first female self-made billionaire. She started off her tech career at Tinder, the dating app. She gave it its name. She managed to make it popular on college campuses. And then she had a falling out with the people that she was working with. Sexual allegations were made. She leaves that company and starts another equally important and a successful company called Bumble. She was noted as one of the 50 most impressive women who are changing the world. And unfortunately, the movie isn't as innovative or impressive as she is in real life. It's called Swiped, and it's on Disney Plus right now.
I got about a minute left, but I can't let you go without addressing the passing of Robert Redford. Before we talk about him, and we don't have much time here, but let's just see him in action. Oh, we don't hear him speaking this, but really you don't need to, right? I mean, he would come on screen and he was just that captivating.
Yeah, he was the leading man of the late 60s and all through the 70s, then an Oscar-winning director. He is one of the most influential people, they're saying now, in the history of film for his championing of independent film with the Sundance Foundation and the Sundance Film Festival. I will always remember seeing The Sting at the Astor Theatre in Liverpool, Nova Scotia. I think I probably paid once, snuck in once, and then paid again to go see it the following weekend. Loved it so much. It's just a fantastic movie, and it's my favorite by far of his films.
Richard, we had Gene Hackman, Robert Redford. Not long ago was Paul Newman passing, Sidney Poitier.
Yeah.
Really, that generation is leaving us.
They are. They were the sort of the bridge between old Hollywood and what they call the new Hollywood. These guys who started in the late 60s and had a little taste of the studio system, and maybe Redford actually worked in that for a little bit. But then in the 70s, when everything changed and independent movies came along and more things started happening, they became emblematic of it. And Robert Redford was one of the last of those people who's still working. Dustin Hoffman's still with us, though, so he's one of the last ones.
Al Pacino. Okay, thank you. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. Happy viewing. Richard Krause, our film critic.
Thanks so much.
We'll take a break. Lots more still ahead. On the scene this Friday night, comedian James Mullinger of New Brunswick is gearing up for another big moment in his career. He's going to be filming a new stand-up comedy special in Halifax, and Katie Kelly tried to stay up with him.
If it's Canadian, we stand behind it. Obviously, the exception, Air Canada.
British-born, Canadian-by-choice comedian James Mullinger is one of the busiest entertainers in the Maritimes. And he's preparing for one of the biggest shows of his career.
I am filming my next stand-up special right here in Halifax at the beautiful Rebecca Cohen Auditorium.
From small town halls to sold-out theaters, Mullinger has been gathering material from life in the Maritimes to shape his latest special.
Cow Bay, as you know, there was a humpback whale washed up on a beach there. And I'm on stage talking about it and how a local member of the community had actually pulled the humpback whale out to sea on his jet ski. And of course, in classic Maritimes fashion, who's in the room? The absolute living legend, Sean of Cow Bay. And it's little experiences like that that build the shows.
The show is called Canadian Comedian.
The show is a love letter to Canada. It's you know, I'm a Brit by birth, but I'm a Canadian by choice. And that, to me, is what this show is all about, and there's nowhere else I would do it. I am now, I do carry this around as proof, just in case, I know I don't sound it, so I carry the proof around. It is mine, just in case anyone's checking. Wow. Very proud new Canadian.
When he's not on stage, Mullinger keeps busy with multiple projects, including his podcast. Mullinger's Weekly Ramble just celebrated its first anniversary.
And basically, every single week, I sit down wherever I am in the world and record an hour of me rambling.
And his magazine, The Maritime Edit, just released its 34th issue.
The cover story is about a beautiful property on Cape Breton Island called Ridge on the Chimney. It's actually our very first art and design special issue. We're making every issue a themed issue now.
Even his kids join in on the fun.
So my son River and I are writing a children's book together about our mini doodle Willow, and we're working with a publisher on that book now. And then my other son Hunter, who I already go on the road with, he's 14 years old, he roasts me on stage. He opens for me. So he goes after me. He criticized my eyebrows. He said that I look like a cross between Bert the Muppet and Eugene Levy.
And with all that on the go, how does he find the time?
It doesn't stress me out because it's all fun. This is all my hobby. I love this. I love talking to you. I love writing. I love performing.
Mullinger's next chapter, Canadian Comedian, hits the Rebecca Cohen in April. Until then, you can catch him on the road, in print, and on the Weekly Ramble.
God bless Canada. God bless Atlantic Canadians, because you support immigrants and newcomers unlike anywhere else in the world.
Mornings with Aaron and Peter. We're giving away $20,000 every week with Move's Dream Big, plus a daily bonus prize of $1,000.
Listen for your keywords weekdays, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. to win.
A new flight between a couple of capital cities. Air Canada has announced a daily route between Fredericton and Ottawa. The flight takes off December 15th. The year-round service connecting Fredericton with the nation's capital will leave Fredericton daily at 4:15 in the afternoon. A return flight from Ottawa is also an afternoon trip. Well, in our business report, the Dow wrapped up the trading week up 172 points. Retail sales were down in 5 provinces in July. BNM Bloomberg's Morella Fernandez now with details.
Overall, retail sales dropped in July, coming in just under $70 billion. Sales were down just under 1% overall, but 8 of 9 subsectors dropped. Consumers scaled back on buying clothing and accessories, sales dropping about 3% there. Sales at grocery stores dropped 2.5%. Here's a look at how the trading day ended. The Canadian dollar's up to 72.53. West Texas Intermediate is down to 62.70. Western Canadian Select is unchanged today at 51.55. And the TSX shot up more than 300 points today for another record close at 29,768. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
All right, the weather deck. Kaylin has a look at what you need to know for tomorrow morning.
So, Todd, as sports fans, you and me know what the definition of GOAT is, right?
Yeah.
Greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Well, our picture for tonight, double rainbow, and I'm just going to say it, it's the GOAT. So let's take a look at it.
No.
How about that, huh?
No.
Yeah, that's awesome. Perfect way to end this week. That is George the Goat in the foreground of this beautiful picture, which does feature a spectacular double rainbow there in the background. You can see the 2 arcs quite clearly, and most often it's the arc on the outside that is a little bit dimmer and has the colors sort of inverted with it. But this was coming in from Anita Fraser from Garlock, Nova Scotia. I did get a lot of other pictures of double rainbows from Thursday. Might get a few more of those on next week, but there was a spectacular display in parts of Nova Scotia. For the area for tomorrow, you can expect after a brisk start to the day, mostly sunny skies and high temperature getting up to 15 degrees. Day planner for tomorrow, I mentioned the brisk start to the day. Early morning temperatures in a lot of cases will be around the mid to high single digits, even low single digits in parts of New Brunswick. Remember, there's some frost advisories out for northern and western parts of that province for tonight. For Saturday afternoon, you can expect mostly sunny conditions across much of the Maritimes with high temperatures headed up towards the mid-teens. A little bit of a mix of sun and cloud around PEI and Cape Breton. Todd.
Kaylin, you mentioned sporting greats. It's very apropos because we're going to end with some tonight. Our women's rugby team is about to battle for the World Cup. The Canadian women beat New Zealand in the Rugby World Cup semifinals just a couple of hours ago in Bristol, England. The 34-19 win puts the team through to the championship game next Saturday at Twickenham Stadium just outside London. They'll face the winner of England and France. That game is tomorrow. Canada is ranked 2nd in the world. England's Lionesses are 1st. Alicia Corrigan of Charlottetown has scored 20 points so far in the tournament for Canada. We will be cheering them on for sure. That is our look at the week here at home. Bruce Frisco has our next update at 11:30. CTVNewsAtlantic.ca has our reporting on the weekend. Here now, the names of everyone who works on the show as we leave you at the Sackville Waterfowl Park in New Brunswick. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast.